Hi, welcome to my tutorial on how to win at checkers. So, the first thing you want to do is remember that on this back row here, if you can hold it, you are more likely to win since the opponent cannot just get a king, provided you hold the back row. So, if you can hold the back row, you want to do that. Sometimes this is not possible, and you don't do it at all costs, since if your opponent plays properly, this will probably cost you the game. If you can, you want to try and, for example, get into when it's late in the game, where you have these 4 checkers there, the opponent can't get a king, but you do have a king. However, if your opponent knows this and you use it enough times, your opponent will eventually start to make sure that you cannot hold the back row. So, without that strategy, you have a couple more things to keep in mind. One is if you can have X's of pieces, that can be nice since it can help you double jump. The other thing is if you can get a double jump that the opponent can do nothing about. For example, like here, and you get 2. That's nice. Also, when you get into a bit later into the game, you're going to end up getting kings. There's a couple positions here to remember. Is one, if you are in a position like this, and your opponent has something like this, you can generally force a double jump. Since jumps are forced in checkers, you can force him to take here, and you get a double jump. And with kings, if you want to avoid putting your own kings in this position, but if your opponent puts their kings in this position, you go in between, and no matter what they do, they lose a king. So that's a useful trap to remember. The other thing to remember is if you can force the king down onto the side, this will help you win. Like in this case, the black king either goes here or here. Here. Both moves, the king gets taken. And the other important thing here to remember is that if you are, for example, getting chased by black here, you want to aim for this double square, where black will need at least 2 kings to get through. So you want to be in either this double square here or this double square, if that's possible. But sometimes that can be important to remember. The other thing is if you're trying to get the opponent out of a double square, for example, in this case, you need at least 2 kings to do this. Now you start going there. Black will make these double moves. So you can't just go like this, because it will become a back and forth, until you end up agreeing on a draw. So you go back out, and then you go in here. Black continues to move back and forth. You start coming in. And then what you want to do is you want to get into this position, because from there, whichever one if black's on this side, you bring this king in. If black was on that side, you bring this king in. Black's going to move to try and make you move back. You then move here. Black is forced to move out. You go in here. Black goes in there. You attack here. Black's forced there. Now that you do this, black goes here, and you began to force black within here. Black cannot come up, so you slowly force black down, and ultimately into the king trap right here. Also, if you're trying to pull off a defense with 2 kings in each double square, if you have 2 kings and you're trying to defend, this is a very powerful defense. as it is very difficult to bust, especially if someone does not know really well how to do it. Plus, it leaves lots of classic trap opportunities. You always want to try and set your opponent up for this type of position. Whatever you do not want to end up like this, where someone goes in between and gets you. So yeah, that's just some basic moves in checkers. Anyway, so just for a review, some of the basic strategies is 1, to keep your end of the board protected so that the other side cannot get a king. So like here, these guys cannot get kings as easily as you can, who can come in back here, for example, and get a king. Once you've got a king, you can come back in here and just start annihilating pieces. And that will end up probably winning you the game. Next, you have the classic trap that you want to watch for, that you want to avoid, and if your opponent does this, go and get them. For example, here, black goes here, white goes in between, and black can't do anything about it. Black can only save one piece and loses the other one. The other thing we were talking about is the king trap, which it depends on who has to move, because if you're forced, because in this case, black ends up being forced to move here and into the trap. Or in this case, black is forced to move either here or down here. And this forces to basically be chased by the king, and once you get here, this king cannot move without being taken. The other thing is you want to aim for in here. And it takes 2 men to take out this one piece. So, that's pretty much it. And if you can, and if you can get a double jump, you want to do that. Like sometimes, it's even worth sacrificing a piece in this case. Because here it's, so for example, in this scenario, it is 4 against 3 and you're losing. But if you can force black, but then you move up here, take advantage of the forced jump, then you get a double jump. The game's now even. You have a slight advantage since you'll probably get a king first, but it's not much meat since black's probably gonna get 2 kings there. Anyway, and thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please like and subscribe.